Always great females with such achievement and such good explanation of their working. It's always pleasure for me. So, are you ready for the spin-offs? I don't hear you. No, I don't hear you. Are you ready for the spin-offs? Come on, it's spin-off Bulgaria. Be serious. Okay. I think it's time to invite on stage Emil Shikerjisky. Emil? Emil? Outside, okay, ask him. Meanwhile, Emil Shikerjisky will be actually the moderator of this panel because he's a very special person for me. Together, on this stage, 3 years ago, we created an amazing event which is called Pitch to Pitch. Imagine companies which are pitching only for 1 minute in front of 5 investors, and trust me, it's scary. But in 3 years, we created a very strong ecosystem and very strong innovator groups which are already pass through their knowledge. So it's an amazing initiative. Till we find our moderator, I will invite on stage Dr. Nikolai Vasilev from Epix AI. Big applause for him. Yeah, I see the moderator. Please join us also. This is Emil Shikerjisky. Big applause for him also. I want to invite, of course, Georgi Kadrev, who is from co-founder and CEO of Imago Technology, and Kelvin Health. Big applause for him. Georgi Trankov, CFO of Barin Sport. Big applause. Murat Recep, PhD founder and CEO of Matrichem. So big applause. Trust me, those companies are actually the thing that we understand from spin-off. I promise you that all the morning we're hearing different, I don't know, terminology, what is it? But I think by showing, we will understand more. So, Emil, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Christina and Dimitar, for the wonderful organization. I think we should do it as often as possible. It's the proof of concept is already shown. So this panel will be divided into two. Maybe Christina showed, but I'll share anyway. The first part is dedicated to Bulgarian startups and spin-offs. The second will be for foreign ones. We'll dedicate 40 minutes for the first one and 20 minutes for the second one. The stage will be yours. On the first stage, please give a couple of minutes intro about your company. You can start.
Hello, my name is Murat Recep. About my company, what we are doing is we're solving the problem of basically relying too much on other people and animals dying in order to make sure that our health and well-being is maintained and improved. What I mean is you can imagine when someone's organ is failing, we need to find a donor, and usually what we do is we wait for someone else to pass away. So this is on the one hand, and on the other hand, when we are creating a new drug, new cutting-edge drug, we need to perform a lot of tests on animals. And these animals, you know what testing on animals usually means. So one solution for that is bioprinting. So basically at Matrichem, what we are doing is developing these tissue-specific bioinks, these really crucial secret sauce, if you will, how to create functioning organs in the lab, and then use it for two types of main applications. So one would be to implant it into patients, while the other one would be to use these artificially created organs in the lab to perform these tests, for instance, of new drugs, instead of on animals and humans, to perform it in the lab. That's in short. Thanks.
Hello, everybody. Wait, I think he deserves a clap.
Yes, he does. Hello, everybody. My name is Nikolai Vasev, and I am the Chief Operating Officer of Epix AI. At our company, what we do is we combine epigenetics with AI, and together with input from your physical connectivity and geolocation, we help you prevent the development of age-related diseases so that we can extend your health span and you can ultimately live longer and healthier lives. In our company, what we seek to achieve is to offer an epigenetic test that gives you two things. One is your biological age. Your biological age is different from your chronological age. Your biological age actually shows you the true condition of your cells and tissues. It very much depends on your lifestyle, how you feed yourself, how physically active you are, what's the environment that you live in, how stressed are you, how is your sleep, and a myriad of other factors. And we want to base our application on biological age as opposed to chronological age, because you could be 25, but if you have candy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you can be pretty sure that very soon you're going to have prediabetes or diabetes. So on the one side, we work with biological age, and on the other side, we want to estimate and to ascertain your personal risk of age-related diseases. All of us are carrying harmful genes in our genome. Depending on our lifestyle, these genes can be turned on or off. That is, we can stave off the risk for a longer period of time if we're being good. And at Epix AI, we are trying to establish what's the level of activation of these genes and what are the steps that you can take to avoid their full activation and the development of these diseases. So that's basically what we do.
Very interesting, bro.
Thank you.
Hello, it's a pleasure for me to be here. I'm Georgi Kudrev from Kelvin Health. Kelvin Health is actually a spin-out from another company called Imaga that has been a pioneer in the image recognition space for more than 13 years now. So what's the mission of Kelvin Health? We make very accessible diagnostics to achieve a status where a lot of preventable diseases are actually prevented. So the suffering and death from conditions like limb ischemia, breast cancer, rheumatoid arthritis eventually can be saved or reduced to a huge extent if we have a very accessible way for diagnostics. And the current status in practically any healthcare system, no matter how developed is the economy of the country or the logistics of the country, preventive screening is not accessible at all. Even in the hands of a specialist or in the hands of a primary care professional or in the hands of the patients themselves, if we have something that is non-invasive and can give a pretty good accessible way to screen ourselves or to monitor ourselves before or after therapy eventually, the better the outcomes for the patient. So we basically combine our long-lasting experience in artificial intelligence with the accessibility of thermal hardware. Actually, we use a mobile thermal camera, as big as this, attached to your phone that can, based on the temperature of the body, detect various types of anomalies. And because of the way how human body functions, you have a bidirectional connection between your temperature and vascular supply. And if there are anomalies in the vascular supply, this might be either a problem with the vascular system itself, some type of oncology that increases vascular supply in the local vicinity of the tumor. It can be a spasm like throwing a kidney stone, or it can be very trivially, but sometimes dangerous, an inflammation. So based on coupling of this AI, thermography, and medical science, we are currently developing Kelvin Health. It's in a pre-regulatory approval state, but we already have more than 850 patients that have been examined for vascular problems, the so-called peripheral vascular or arterial disease, and currently on our way to make this an official regulated medical device, both with the CE marking and the FDA approval.
Best of luck.
Good afternoon to the audience. Sorry for the lack of voice. I'm trying to be much more explainable. I'm Georgi Trankov from Barian Sports. We have created a unique system in the field of electronic performance tracking systems for professional athletes. So we are positioned the professional athlete in the middle for 360 degrees of full insights and tracking all conditions of these athletes. So we are a unique mix between hardware and software. We're using all kind of full high-end technologies in terms of sensors, microelectronics, etc. while the software part is dedicated to algorithms and AI that can actually perform like data acquisitors of all the collected data. So our goal is to give the perfect and the best possible insights and directions to the coaching staff to take the best possible decisions for the professional athletes. We are proud to be part of performance department of the Bulgarian national team, football national team. We are trying to develop our system and get abroad with the product that we have already implemented. So, yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much for introducing yourself. It's extremely interesting for me, and I'm sure for everybody else. I will now focus the question around the spin-off. I will not address them to each one of you, so feel free to join any question you wish to add on. So the first question is, for the success of the spin-off, how important is the cross-disciplinary collaboration? What can you give example from your diversity, expertise? How can it help?
Yeah, I'm just going to go first. So in our team, we have the distinct honor of working with Professor Milena Georgieva from the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. She is probably the leading expert in epigenetics in Bulgaria and much of Europe. She is a noted TEDx speaker who's very versed in explaining the issues of epigenetics and the mechanisms that underlie the science in a very comprehensive and understandable language to a broad audience. She has over 100 peer-reviewed published papers all over the world, really. So she is absolutely indispensable to our operations, but she's only one half of the equation. The other half are our machine learning engineers, the team that does the AI in our company, who are really extraordinary people. Our CTO, Ivan Tsenov, and our Chief Data Officer, Dr. Matthew Ivanov, who is also a PhD. In our team, we are a total of 7 people. 6 of us are PhDs. Something that I'm very proud of, very happy with. So you can see that there is a very interesting conflation of talents and expertise on the one side in terms of AI, but also in terms of science and epigenetics. If we didn't have that, Epic's AI is just impossible. You can't really work without the mixture of talents and expertise. Professor Milena Georgieva still is very active in the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences, so she's a true academic, whereas on the other side, the guys in the AI team are part of a company that I'm also part of called Anthill. So they really bring empirical experience from the world of AI and machine learning engineering, prompt engineering, computer vision, and many other fields that they're active in. And you can see really the combination of these talents is best exemplified in Epic's AI. So I would say that it's absolutely indispensable.
So if I may add, actually, I wouldn't say it's necessary. I would say it's natural, typically. And what I mean is that, for example, for us, we've been very focused on building a pure technology company just in the field of image recognition AI for many years. And the actual reason to spin Kelvin Health out was that it's not anymore solely or entirely in this discipline of image recognition. So the fact that this is something in a different space, in this particular case in medical diagnostics, by definition makes it a cross-disciplinary project. From a pure business point of view, I think that it's important to have this, because typically you get the best of both worlds, and you have the chance to solve many problems that hasn't been solved in a specific domain just because those people didn't have the experience. Let's say the IT guys never think of how their technology can be used for diagnostics, and the people in medical diagnostics haven't been aware that sometimes things are possible. So in our case, this was the initial ignition and inception of the idea that somebody has recognized that actually those things can be combined. So in our case, as I said, it's more natural rather than required thing. As I said, I do believe that it's very good from a business point of view because it creates a lot of undiscovered opportunities. But of course, for us in this particular space and situation, the presence of our medical team and the inclusion of Professor Ivo Petrov and Associate Professor Zoran Stankov has been very instrumental. Also our participation in the Digital Health and Innovation Cluster Bulgaria as well, and all the support from the Biotech Cluster as well. These have been very instrumental to be able to progress and to develop, especially in the areas that we don't have previous experience
We'll develop the network question one more time. I would like you to join back on this question
will
as
do.
well.
I would say that the interdisciplinary departments is the nature of the successful spin-off. So I would say that we have to put in the middle the human resources that can be used in different departments of the parent company, actually. So, for example, Bahrain Sports' successful spin-off from Smartcom with different kind of experts in terms of nanotechnology, microelectromechanics, AI, embedded systems, and of course cloud computing. So I would say that this is actually the key element of the successful spin-off by nature.
I would second actually the fact that indeed it seems to me that in biotech it's kind of obvious. The colleagues here use the words natural, indispensable to explain the fact that cross-disciplinary collaboration is really key. Me personally, when looking at this question, actually, I would share one of our ambitions, one of our goals, which, let's say, it's quite humble one, and that is we really want to create a new industry in Bulgaria, right? We want to create this bioprinting tissue engineering industry, and for that we need to go beyond Matricam. So we need to go really, we need to make sure that there is this buzzword, let's call it ecosystem, but really it's about the industry. And that includes key players other than Matricam. Matricam is just one piece of the whole puzzle, which is, like I mentioned, we are creating this, what we see as a key ingredient of creating these functional tissues. But what we really need additionally are engineers, so mechanical engineers, software engineers, biotech engineers, and biomedical experts, medical experts, immunologists. And this is really, this is what the industry would be. So basically, Matricam, without all of these other players, even if we were like the best, we would probably not be able to scale efficiently, to develop, validate our products as quickly or effectively. So this is really one of our goals, and we are happy that we received the support of the National Innovation Fund at the end of last year in a consortium with Medical University of Plovdiv with the lead of Professor Sarafyan, and one more startup which is developing and producing 3D printers in Bulgaria. I should mention this is quite strong. There is quite strong DIY community of 3D enthusiasts, 3D printing
Again,
enthusiasts.
we will refer to this question one more time again, so both of you are invited.
So, so in this consortium, we received the support of really this innovation fund, and now we are developing this treatment, this implant for osteoarthritis, basically cartilage, bioprinted cartilage implant. So yeah, it's critical to have this, I would call it this, in this case, collaboration. Basically collaborating with quite a wide expertise of experts.
Thank you. Okay, the next question about the challenges. What challenges have you faced while you're growing your company, your spin-off especially? There are so many challenges. Challenges while growing the spin-off.
Maybe I can start, because there are, I imagine we will hear a lot of challenges actually, and we are at Matricam are facing quite a lot of challenges. even on a daily basis. But I would like to mention a couple of them that are quite important for our activities and even for the quality of the products that we are developing and the validation, basically, of these products. So, for instance, one of them, again, in the context of creating an industry, I would imagine it's also the case for anyone trying to create a physical product, but the supply chain is one crucial aspect, actually, of really being able to deliver reliably with a suitable quality a new product. And this, like I said, we are creating a new product. So in our case, the challenge was to really find this, to create, if you will, this supply chain, reliable supply chain for the raw materials of our bioinks. So that would be animal byproducts in this case, and it's really difficult actually to find sources which are compliant with all the regulations, with suitable good practices, and so on. So this, we managed to solve this with insisting really on quality and insisting on compliance. This is one big challenge that we had, and we're happy in this case that by solving this, we also became the first lab in Bulgaria who created, the first company in Bulgaria who created this lab, who is now certified to work with animal byproducts to create these bioinks, basically, specifically for bioinks. That's not the only application. And the other one which I would mention is, because now we're talking about spin-offs, I'm looking at it a little bit more from academic perspective. I see that, okay, we have separated ourselves here from company and academic source, kind of, if you will. For academic spin-offs, what we have found is quite crucial is that we managed to have really sufficient number of academic partnerships so that we can get the support for both the development and the validation of our products. And unfortunately, what we find quite challenging is actually that we find it's difficult for us to find partners who are willing or capable of following good laboratory practices. Unfortunately, this is the case, and I just want to clarify, actually. What I mean by this is because this is very, very well defined, regulated thing. So GLP, good laboratory practices, is not just you clean your beaker when you're done, but it's a layer of administrative, and not only, but certain practices, which majority of laboratories in Bulgaria actually do not follow, and some of them do not want to follow. So that's, but still, like I mentioned, we work with Medical University of Plovdiv, so the biomedical people, they are closer to GLP because they are really, if they want to bring a product to the market, they have to follow this by
Guys,
by
do
law.
you share the same opinion?
I would be very brief, or I'll try to. I think there are two main challenges from our perspective. The first one is the market and the network, because you already have an existing network somewhere, but almost by definition, the spin-out is in a different market, so you need to rebuild everything from scratch, which kind of relates with your expectations about speed, because you already have developed something, maybe a working sales machine or an inbound channel of customers, and you don't have this by default in the new spin-out, because it's literally like a new startup. The second one, I think, is the IP, and in general, you know, what comes like to be inherited from the mother company in our case, what not, shareholding, etc. And the third one I forgot, so maybe it's not that important.
Well, as part of professional sports vertical, we have faced several challenges, the biggest of which are a lack of funding and a lack of priorities of our vertical. What that means, we are probably, let's say that we are in the hardware sector where we've got lack of expertise, and probably I would say for the audience that the fund manager's expertise is often compromised for that. I mean that we currently, with the uniqueness of our mix between hardware and software, we are currently not very attractive at all for the market. And the other thing that have to be changed in the spin-off ecosystem definitely is that we are a truly example that we have self-funded our first million, facing all the operational.
That's a lot.
Our self-funding, yeah, our first million, facing all the operational financial struggles, and also passing through the TRL9 with our own resources.
Nikolai, would you like to add?
Yeah, I'm kind of happy that I'm going to be the last because I think I can summarize this very nicely. I think all of us are dealing, and you can hear this yourself, we're all dealing with innovation in different fields. There's something that I'm reminded of as I'm listening to you guys and as I'm reflecting on my own experience, the words of UK astrophysicist Brian Cox, who speaks about researchers and the challenge of being a researcher. And the fact is that when you're doing something new, you're investigating a new field, you're always on the cusp between what is known and what is unknown. So you really have to have a lot of courage to be able to work in that field. To go back concretely to our issue, for us the issue has been the availability of data, epigenetic data that is, so that we can train our algorithms, so that we can actually develop a product that can tell you what is your risk of an age-related disease such as type 2 diabetes, Crohn's disease, a number of other diseases that we now have the capacity to predict on an individual basis. And the issue with that has to do with the fact that there just isn't, epigenetics is a rather new field. There aren't nearly as many databases as there are in genetics. And what is available is very regionally limited, mostly to Western Europe. There are hardly any databases for people from other ethnic groups, and this has been a major challenge for us.
Okay, guys, I would like to ask you for the next questions, due to the time limit, to be a bit more concise. And I will actually combine the two next questions, two in one. First is the EU support through grants. I'm sure you've had exposure to that. And the second thing is the promised question about the networks in the European Union that Spin-off can take advantage of.
I can start with that. We've been applying with both the companies, the mother and the parent and the daughter company, in multiple Horizon 2020, then Horizon Europe programs. Actually, in some of them we've been successful in consortiums. With Imago, we've been successful getting a seal of excellence and then national funding for that, which is in place. What we saw a bit differently for Kelvin Health, though from many points of view, it's in a way more exciting. It's more appealing to the consumer. But at the same time, the fact that it's a spin-out company and there's like a shareholding by another company or some kind of like a split of attention, or at least the perception of such between both companies, some evaluators have been more skeptical about spin-out companies. And I think that's a pity because typically spin-out companies, they start as spin-outs just because they require a lot of resource that only a mother company or some alternatives might give. Mm-hmm. In that context, the networks, I would just briefly second myself. I believe that actually on a national level, there are pretty good networks. In our case, for example, for connections with pharmaceutical companies, etc., this has worked out quite nicely. And we have some grant fundings from pharmaceutical companies and actually from America, from Bulgaria Foundation, for research initiatives here.
It seems to be coming again and again, the Bulgarian networks, but I would like to emphasize European networks, if some of you has experience to elaborate about this.
Currently, we have has absolute no support in terms of EU support from the inception of Bahrain Sports to the present days.
What about network for?
Yeah, currently because we are a specific professional niche market, so our sales strategy is fully based on expansions in terms of market insiders. What does it mean? Market insiders like people, investors, angels, and etc. with an enormous network of connections. So we are currently allocating Germany, Austria, and Italy possibly also, like looking for that kind of market insiders there, because we are talking about football.
Yeah.
And after this kind of investors that we are trying to find and to expand our network, currently we are looking also for a specific market that the professional sports popularity is currently very high, but also this kind of niche professional market for electronic performance tracking systems is a new one there.
Thank you.
Like Middle East, for example.
Murad, Nikolai,
Well, again, I will. My answer will be from the perspective of academic spin-off.
shortly.
Even though, we are not literally academic spin-off, but we are working very closely with academic partners. And what we find is that we have to rely heavily, actually, in the beginning of the development and validation of our products on the networks of our academic partners. So in that perspective, actually...
Are they based in Bulgaria?
Yes. I'm talking about, for instance, Medical University of Plovdiv and other institutes in the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. So we find that some of these academic partners, they're very well familiar with they're part of cost actions, for instance. So there are these different networks which are being created to solve different problems, priority problems. So for instance, in the case of Medical University of Plovdiv, we have very nicely aligned projects that they are part of this network, which is looking for a solution for osteoarthritis. So basically connecting academic experts.
So
and then
sorry for cutting, time is limited. I'm sure your expertise will be endless. Nikolai, European networks focus and European programs.
Yes, well, we applied for one of the Horizon programs, but the consortium requirements are quite stringent, so that, I believe, disqualified us. And we haven't had any experience with the Bulgarian network so far.
I think it's something that we should work more on, and this conference is the bridge to it to happen more. Next year, I hope these questions will get more answers. Okay, so I would like to ask the last question, and you have time to speak more, but it's the last. Give some advice for young entrepreneurs looking to create a spin-off, either in the university or in a company. What should they know? What's their way to do it?
I think if I could give some advice, follow your true passion. Do something that you're genuinely excited about. Don't do something that you think is a model that has worked for other people. Because if you don't have the passion, if you don't have the drive, if you're just following somebody else's steps, it's not going to work. Investors are going to see that it's not your thing. Everyone is going to recognize that it's not your thing. You really need to be driven because it's a very tough field. It's very difficult to start, whether it's just a startup, whether it's a spin-off, especially if it's a spin-off. And you have to share your resources with another organization. You really need to be 100% dedicated. I'm going to keep it short.
Thanks.
I would second on that, and I believe there are basically, first of all, if you talk about like entrepreneurs who have been starting a startup and then start another startup, that's not super common.
Georgi, it sounds like you a little bit.
Sorry?
It sounds like you a little bit.
Like?
Like you.
Yeah, like me, yeah. I think this is kind of challenging because for us it took, with our first startup, it took like 10 years to learn how to do startups. And everything from, managing your co-founder relations to understanding what's a market, what's inbound and outbound sales in your particular case, how these things work, building the network. I think that if you're, already an entrepreneur, maybe there are very little things that I can advise. Something that I can share out of experience is that starting your second startup without shutting down the previous one is not a super hard job. It's actually very exciting because it's a bit like a rejuvenating experience for you as an entrepreneur, especially if you've been working quite long on your previous startup. And also you have a lot of the hopefully positive reputation that you've built across the years and having integrity in your business. So, and relationships with people. So I think that actually starting a spin out is a very interesting thing to do, but you need to be ready for the challenges of new market, as I said. And lastly, I think that it's good to, besides being very true to your passion and doing something that you can really do or attract new people for the spin out, something that's of course of a lot of value, so it's at all viable business. But I think at the end of the day, it's important to be super ambitious with the things you do, because that way you can summon so much more support, both internal from yourself and from your team and from the outside world, especially if you have a good mission or a noble mission. It's so much more exciting to support something that can change diagnostics across the world, or do the things that all of us do in a way, instead of like being very shy with the things you do. I think that entrepreneurship is not about being shy. You need to be humble, but you need to be super ambitious about the things you want to do.
I would say you have to be very cautious that way. If you like to be an entrepreneur, you don't have to do it by the sake of adventure or doing it to appear trendy or looks like it's something cool. If you think that this is the case, you are not for that field, definitely. You should ask yourself, do you have a plan on Friday? What should be on the weekend? And after that, on Monday, you have the perfect agenda for the week. If you do not have that, you are not for that field. So, at last but not least, anyone who believes that the learning is ending with togging the university hat in the air, so definitely the entrepreneurship is not his thing or her thing. We are talking about continuous learning, participating in seminars, the materials for the future, and that's the entrepreneurship.
Thank you.
I completely agree with what my colleagues mentioned earlier, and I would add, probably because we're talking about deep tech spin-offs, earlier it was mentioned that spin-off, part of the definition is something unexpected. And that might also mean that it's not completely clear its application. So where are you going to, how are you going to bring it to the market and so on. So in the case of, again, in the case of academic-based spin-off, so when you start from there, you really have, typically, you really have a long way for the development and validation of your product. So usually that also means a lot of academic partnerships. At least that's the very beginning. Industrial partnerships, preferably. So what I would recommend, actually, if you are an academic spin-off, you make sure that at the very beginning that you have enough support. At the very beginning, so obviously there are things like know your market, make sure you can find sufficient funding and so on, the expertise of the team, but make sure that you have enough. So that means, because it's very typical that academics might be interested in your work, it might be very exciting, but they might not have the resources or the time simply to really be with you on the journey. So for that's the reason why you better basically, that's kind of the numbers game, make sure that you have enough, as many as you can, support from, for instance, academic partners.
Thank you very much. I think it's very true. Now we'll do some change. We'll do a break with the online, and then we come back with the foreign spin-off. Thank you very much.